Good evening, Ken Monaghan with Seattle Yachts in Anacortes. I'm here today to do a walkthrough of a Tartan 365 hull number 5. This is a 2023 model, and it actually earned in 2022 at the Annapolis Boat Show the award for Best Midsize Cruiser for 2022. This boat here is a stock boat that we have. It's going to be at the September Boats and Float Show in Seattle, starting on Thursday the 12th through Sunday the 15th. Let's take a walk down the boat from the bow to the transom. We have what they call the cruise control rig, which is two furlers that are from Harken. Everything on the boat is Harken products. So you have the aft one is a smaller one, about 100%. That's also on a self-tacker. You see that in the middle, just in front of the mast, so it's not an overlapper. The bigger one is obviously more square footage, is an overlapper. It's not a self-tacker. We'll go through that a little bit more when I go aft. As you walk further back here, flagship blue hull, nice trim with a gold stripe down it. The tow rail itself is aluminum, and notice it has lightning holes, so to speak. There are screws. It's bonded with 5200, 3M 5200 from the hull to the deck, and that angled L tow rail is also fastened in place too. So that's how the hull to deck connection. As I come back a little bit more here, the forward berth is from the mast forward, and you have two hatches, the larger one up forward. You have another one a little bit higher, which is more headroom, obviously. So the berth itself is a little bit further forward. The boat itself has a total of 3 hatches. The next one, just under the force bar vang, that's actually for the salon area. And then on each side of the hull, starboard and then port, you got these nice stainless steel opening. There's 5 of them, hatches that are on the boat. For the non-skid gel coat, this boat is with there's 2 choices, white with the tan or sand. The other one is gray. I personally like this color here. Taking a scan up the mast, this is actually built at the Tartan factory. I was there in July. Amp spars, so you got a boom, more like a V boom if you want to call it that, and a carbon mast that actually is tapered, and up top is a molded crane at the top of it. On the back side of it is a track with all Harken cars, so it makes it really easy to hoist the mainsail. The radar itself is going to be from Ray Marine, and that's mounted on the front side of the mast. As you go further back here, you'll notice that you've got a dorade on both sides. Those rotate fore and aft. Port side is aft, starboard is going forward. Probably the nicest thing, and I would say about this is a cruising boat. It's a performance cruising boat. This is a kind of boat you'll notice in particular. It has, I would call like a mid-boom sheeting with the main sheet on it, but it's got a traveler. So when you get into boats where you have travelers and you have the ability to tweak things, you've had also in this boat, you got the vang, you got the traveler, you have a backstay, and I'll show you a little bit more on the way back. That's an adjustable backstay. It's a split backstay with a hydraulic ram on the port side, so you can actually, when the wind is up, you can tighten up the backstay. On each side of the boat, you got a starboard side and the port side. You have upper lifeline, lower lifeline with side boarding. The Pelican hooks on this one are disconnected, but you could board this way. We're going to go further back and board from the transom. Couple more points as I come back here. This tailgate drops down, and as I step aboard, I'll point out a couple things. So this center area here is where the telescoping boarding ladder for the swim platform or step back here. Notice the ability to pull this up. It's not hydraulic, it's not electric. It's just basically a block and tackle system. It makes it super easy to pull it up and down. One other item I would say in this section here, this is your wash down for a shower on a rinse, hot and cold. Inside here, you can see where there's the connections in there. There's the ram actually for the rudder, for the autopilot. I'll close this back down. This is a starboard helm station. It's a Volvo Penta 30 horsepower engine with a sail drive on it. The boat does have the optional bow thruster, which is a quick bow thruster. It has an audible when you go to fire it up. There it is right there. This is the Ray Marine Suite. So you've got your autopilot on this station. You've got an I-70 display at the starboard side, another one on the port side, an Edson helm. This piece here, this is a custom carbon piece at the factory, done at the factory. It's all carbon. I could lift it with my hand, 3 fingers. It's probably less than 5 pounds, 3 to 5 pounds. So it goes from here to here. I'm going to cross over and show something on this side. You'll notice before I do this, I've got a winch, a starboard side and one for port side. These are Harkin 46 STC, which is self-tailing chrome. And when I come over, if I'm sailing the boat and I'm on a port tack and I want to switch from one helm to the other and look at the adjustments or make an adjustment, I can easily step over to this side of the boat and be on this side. Personally, I kind of like sometimes sailing from the low side, but if I need to trim the sail, like take it in from a beam reach to a close reach, this is right here with this winch and a self-tailer. I can make those adjustments. You'll also notice directly behind me, these are the 2 control lines for the furlers on those Harkin furlers up forward. Super easy for access to it. And then if you can't do it by hand, you could easily clear this winch here and run it up to this one here, and when you're furling and putting away the sail. This is a little unique at the table. What you have is there's 2 sets of fuse panels. You have this one for the back end of the boat. Down below is another one, but what you'll notice in particular, this is where you turn on your bow thruster. There is also some displays for nav lights, et cetera, et cetera. So the value of that is if you want to turn off the power for the bow thruster, you don't have to run all the way down below. Super easy boat to get around on. I'm going to go to the starboard side here and show you this lazarette. This lazarette here, I would call as a garage. And the reason why I would say that is down below here is a door panel, and that's actually into the head. And the shower is actually in that area. So if you're down below and you want to get access to something into this lazarette, you can reach in and take care of it. I'll close this up. Before I go down below, I want to point out a couple more things in the cockpit. When you approach this boat, there's not much space, distance between the helms to here. So if you're controlling the main halyard, in particular any of the adjustments, I mentioned the Traveler, here they are right here. Your main sheet control ends up being right here. This is the gray one. But in terms of hoisting, this is a classic main. So a classic main, you would end up unzipping the bag. You would end up opening the clutch. This is how I run it. Put a couple of turns on, put it in the self-tacker, and voila, you have a powered winch. And not only one speed, you got 2 speeds. A high and a low. So the point of me pointing this out is if I'm sailing the boat and I'm single handling the boat and you're set up with a self-tacker jib and you're on a close reach and then you want to tack over, it's easy to do. You don't have to make any changes with the main setting and then also with the jib. If you're flying the bigger sail, you would throw off the starboard side winch and take on the port side winch. But again, you're not running back and forth. It's not like a football field. It's like 2 steps to go from one adjustment from the helm back here. I want to touch on a couple of points before we go down below. Tartan, which is built domestically, Painesville, Ohio. It's nice to be able to have a boat that's built domestically. You can actually go to the factory and meet with Tim Jackett. Typically, he's around there. He's the designer of this guy, a long legacy of designing and building boats. Some of the features that were incorporated in this boat that definitely differentiates it from all kinds of other cruising boats, hence why it would be a performance cruising boat. You got a lead keel. In this boat, it's 13,375. The length of the boat is 36. It's 6. You have, in addition to that keel, you've got control lines for sailing the boat. This is a sailor's boat where you have the ability to control the mainsail and your settings on that by having the traveler to drop that down. For the backstay, you can tighten that up when the wind is up. You have the ability to go from heavy air with using the self-tacking jib, or you can go to the bigger one on the outside. Everything on this boat can be dialed in, and that's the real beauty of it. Sailing the boat with, a real purist, they like to have a classic main, and it makes it even easier when it has slides, those Harkin slides that go up and down. Powered winch to help you on the hoist. This is a super easy boat. If you're an elderly couple or a person that wants to retire and have a boat that's easy to handle, I don't think there's anything missing on this boat. That option for the bow thruster is a perfect complement. Let's get ready and we'll go down below. Welcome to down below, the interior of this Tartan 365. A couple immediately noticeable points. Number one, headroom. I'm not super tall, but there's a lot of people I've met that are really tall sailors, and the very first thing they reject on a boat is they have no ability to stand in the boat. I can be here in the center of the boat, and I can walk over to the galley here, and I have no issue. I can actually step through to the aft berth. Yes, I have to step over the threshold, and I still clear that. It's the same thing from coming down the companionway steps, which is a general gradual transition. It's 3 steps coming down, just like in your house, all the way forward to that forward berth. You have no clearance issues on this boat. Let me step back a little bit here, and I want to talk about some of the features of the construction of the boat. This boat ends up being maple wood. There's another option. You could do cherry. You have a traditional teak and holly on the flooring. You have on the wood for the doors, it's solid wood on all the cabinetry here. And the cabinets themselves, the drawers, it's actually built, if I remember right, they actually use some craftsmen. It's the only thing they sub out. Amish cabinet makers are making some of the components for this boat. Other than that, it's all done in-house. But where do you see raised panel doors or cabinets even? It's stuff that's in a house. This is on a boat. It's really, really nice the way they've appointed this boat. Super bright, light, the wood, the seating, the way you have the seating right now. You got a U shape on this side, on the starboard side. Creature comforts of this boat. Nice little love seat, a double, or you can call it a single. You stretch out here, you got a pillow behind you, you got a nice light, you're reading. Oh, and guess what? We have heat. So you're nice and warm and cozy. Couple of quick points. Structure, performance on the boat. 1, chain plate. Piece of metal, stainless steel, comes down, ties in down below here. As it pokes through on the deck, there's 3 turnbuckles that are there for basically holding up the mast and going through the spreaders. The mast, keel step, carbon fiber mast, painted. You get performance out of that. That's the value of it. It's light. It has a taper. There's some other features that go with it, the crane that's at top. But these are things that make this boat so unique. Next, let's take a look at the forward stateroom. As I pass through here, nice wide ability. I don't really have to go tuck my shoulders in. A little bit of a step through on the threshold, but plenty of clearance. As I get forward here, it steps down a little bit when you're at that forward hatch. But in general, you've got nice shelves, you got storage, you got 3 drawers down below here. You have one on port side, one on starboard side. Again, really rich, cozy, nice. Ventilation from the 2 above, plus you have the port lights on port and starboard side. Privacy in this 2-cabin, 1-head boat. This beautiful bifold door. Raised panels, louvers down below for ventilation, and it tucks back here out of the way. And let's take a walk all the way through to the galley and also the aft cabin. The galley itself is a little bit of a modified L-shaped galley. You've got a 2-burner stove, 2-burner oven stove combination with an island, we'll call it, for the sink. So if you're underway, I'll show you real quick. you can actually be at the galley and brace off of the island berth. This little cubby ends up being for garbage. The refrigerator itself is not an opener, it's a slide out. So there's your access again. When you're in this space, as compact as this is, it's totally functional. To get back to the aft berth, you do have to pass through. And in that aft berth, nice and white, clearance again, ventilation with the cockpit hatch that's on the wall there. You also have side panels for access to the engine back there. Plenty of storage, plenty of lights. I'm going to show you now the nav station. The nav station itself, forward facing. Again, nice construction of the woodwork. Everything is on display back here. This can be also that white light turned to red. Then what you have is you're going to go directly aft, and this head is a separate shower. Behind the door is actually where the toilet is. And then the sink is in between the toilet and the shower. And finally, the engine, the heart of this boat, mechanical system, is a Volvo Penta D130 with a sail drive and a 2-blade fixed prop. Easy access under the companionway steps, which is the 3 steps down. And as you get down to the bottom of the companionway steps, you can turn around and lift it up and look at how bright it is to go check your engine, inspect it, and do dipstick checks. Thank you for taking the time to go through this Tartan 365 with me this evening. If you have any questions about this boat, feel free to reach out to me or any of my teammates at Seattle Yachts. Again, the boat will be at the Boats Afloat show on Lake Union from Thursday, the 12th of September through Sunday, the 15th. Thanks.